Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at episode 5 of IBO, which, was pretty cool for me. I gotta say, these episodes so far have been great in terms of the world building, getting to the action quickly, and this does just that, so let's dive in. Okay, we get a model of a ship right away. That's a good sign. Shady dealings going on. We know that Tekkadan, the newly formed Tekkadan, wants to be very successful with their first mission, not only because it means something in the grand scheme of things for the story, but they want to like make a name for themselves. And I guess we're hoping Toto can hook them up with someone named Orcus, I guess, to kind of help them safely get to Earth from Mars. But yeah, they were double-crossed. I mean, yeah, they're shaking hands, but does it really mean anything? This character, Coral, very interesting. I really like what was going on. First, he had that little mission on Mars at the old Christ security group base. Totally failed. You know, the Barbatos, that's right, we'll get to that in a second. Took it out. That was awesome. But he was like worried about what that failure could mean, and you could almost feel for him in front of like the other guys from Galahorn. But it almost kind of works out because he gets a tip about where Cordelia's going anyway, so he pulls in those Galahorn guys and said, hey, look, I can give you a little tip on this here. It keeps him clear, which is actually pretty funny of the whole thing, but actually completely accelerates the plot in terms of, you know, what the antagonist and protagonist are trying to get to. There's some neat world building here because it's really a moment for Mikazuki and Cordelia to kind of talk, to kind of build that up. But it's neat how not only does he talk about his name, Mikazuki, kind of meaning like crescent moon or something, but then they're just casually talking about, oh, I wonder what the moon on Earth looks like, or if there is a moon. And they're talking about during the Calamity War, like a chunk got blown out of it, which is pretty neat world building. But you know, what's cool about this, and I can tell this is a smart show, is they're telling us about the world while having the characters interact with each other. These two characters that have kind of an interesting chemistry, because we get our typical guntagonist, and then we get the girl where it's like, does she like him or not? Okay, something else going on with this character. I know this character shows up every once in a while. I have no connection, care for them yet. Maybe it makes a big deal later on. All right, and that's where, yeah, Coral's letting them know what's going on. You know, they've got this new Tekkadan that's going to be taking off. They've got Cordelia. This is your chance. All right, we're seeing some ship stuff going on. And then, yeah, the old black guy with the cigar, you know, something's up. All right, we got the ship battles potentially. Looks like Galahorn launched their mobile suits. So, I mean, what are they going to be able to do? So, yeah, they're freaking out. You know, Orcus is right there like, yep, yeah, we're involved with this. And obviously, they're suspecting Toto. All right, one of the suits, you know, shoots one of those cables. That's something we see often, especially like in Zeta. It's kind of, yeah, it's giving me Zeta vibes here from like the Rick Diaz. So it's like, hand over Cordelia, we'll blow up your ship. And that seems kind of like, okay, and everyone's agreeing, yeah, let's hand her over. But, you know, the crew has something up their sleeves here, and I like this. This is very action movie cinematic. And he's like, hit it. He's like, all right, and hits the button. Like, you're up, Mikazuki, and then the look on his face. And then the doors open. And right away, gun cannon coming out of that hangar right up to the mobile suit's chest. So I love, love, love how this is like some awesome, just kick-ass mobile suit action. But we're seeing of this sort of ground-based unit out in space. So that's the thing about the series. I wasn't too crazy about watching it right away because it looked like it was heavily ground and melee based. And that's fine, but I really like space battles. But we're getting this 5 episodes in. We're seeing it of what it can do in space when it doesn't even have like the proper like space attire, like the thrusters and everything. And I gotta say, cool shots here. We're seeing, you know, we're above Mars, and that transport shuttle that has cargoes opened up with the mobile suit coming out to battle. It's like there's not even hesitation. There is with the other characters that are around, but for the guntagonist, you know, there's not. Even Coral's out there in a mobile suit. I guess he was just so sure with the guys from Galahorn involved that this was an easy win, make him look good, but no. Very cool. They're running along what could be this like access point, you know, up from Mars, orbital launch or whatever. But as they're flying over it, it's getting shot at. So it's very interesting how we're already seeing right away how much, you know, I guess Galahorn, that group doesn't care. Again, some cool space mobile suit battles, mainly melee, and I think it's done very well, and it makes, you know, a lot of sense sometimes. I like kind of that reduced fantastical weaponry, but it might pick up later. So if that's the case, it's doing a good job right now, just kind of keeping it chill, but still exciting. And so it looks like the plan really is for Mikazuki to just lead them away. And so, everyone's been double-crossed here, but what's interesting is, Orga was expecting this, so he had like a backup plan for the other group to meet up later. And it's interesting because even, as a viewer, you're like, well, yeah, sure, maybe he expected it. Oh, but he had something in plan just to kind of pump up the action even more. And we have the other mobile suit show up from that other team. It's, I guess, the Greys, right? But I guess it's supposed to be the mobile suit from the other captain from before. I guess he's bringing Mikazuki his weapon. And it doesn't take long, and Mikazuki in the Barbatos just like takes him out. So it's interesting how we got this cool like 5-episode mini arc of this character. That's pretty interesting. Another cool look is like a mobile suit's out there just outfitting the Barbatos. He's like, oh yeah, here's another weapon. Here, go destroy. Yeah, this is where Galahorn's kind of looking it up, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a Gundam Barbatos. So it's very neat that this is, again, another world-building thing. They're like, oh, what is this? And they talked about it in a way where, it might be self-contained within this universe, but they're like, oh, throughout time, during a time of war or something, there will always be a Gundam that shows up. So could it be that they're talking about other Gundam universes linked to this? Not necessarily, but it's kind of fun, and it just means in this universe there's more stories that could be told. Yeah, Gundam Barbatos, Gundam Frame. But yeah, I mean, is it one of those things? Barbatos, Barbatos? Once the Galahorn dudes went out to go fight, and they're realizing, and I think this is just some cool extra lore, is like, this actually wasn't outfitted for space, the Barbatos that is, and they call it out as, they're thinking of the tactics to use to fight, and I do like that Mikazuki's even picking up on them fighting well. It's like, oh, he knows what he's doing, so it's like they're building up that rivalry. I do like the use of CG with the spaceships here. It looks good, and also the use of like physical momentum when it comes to battling. Not only is there a lot of melee combat going on, but also like using the gravity and an anchor point between the ship and an asteroid. I really like the type of space tactics they're using here. Yeah, these are really cool shots. I really like the ship designs here. That's a cool shot. That looks like a thumbnail. All right, Galahorn's trying to pull Mikazuki down into the atmosphere, and it's one of those things where Mikazuki's taking a risk with his ground type Barbatos out there in space, having to dispatch who he can and get picked up quickly. It reminds me of some of those scenes in Gundam and Zeta Gundam where there's those atmospheric battles. So, I wonder if that's really what this is. I was really wondering what was going to happen, because in that sort of battle between Galahorn specifically and Mikazuki, it could last a while. That's one of those battles where who would really win at any time. But in this situation, the team had to get away anyway. Galahorn didn't have much backup anyway, so it was very easy for Mikazuki just be picked up and taken away, because they really had another mission. It was really not to stop them, but to get to Earth. And they meet up all happy at the end. And I guess the traitor was sent back to their team, so I wonder if we'll see this guy more throughout. And that does it. So as episode 5 of IBO, I really like what's going on here. It's very clear with the story, the motivations with all the characters. All the characters seem to be getting their due in terms of really cool stories going on. And it was really neat to see a proper space battle. Not only, seeing it in space, but also the kind of the tropey atmospheric orbit Earth entry, type of battling going on where there's a risk involved there. The stakes are a little bit higher, but also the fact that the Barbatos at that time wasn't outfitted specifically for space. So this was like an emergency sort of decision that was being made in order to defend the ship, and it worked out. This is a really cool way, for a Gundam show, because it's like a single Gundam, right? It's not like a group of them, but it's a single Gundam, and from the beginning, it is helping out. It is changing the tide of what is going on. And just the fact that they brought up that Gundams have shown up, through history, through certain times of war. It's almost like not only speaking on it through the story, that's going on in the show, but almost just as a fan of Gundam and knowing there's that Gundam legacy to it. It kind of speaks to that as well. But anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think below. I'm curious if everyone else enjoys it as much as I am, but also thanks to the supporters for making this happen. Check the links in the description for ways you can support the channel if you're interested, and also there's links to some of the supporters stuff down there as well if you want to check it out. But also a link to our Discord. We have fun there too. And I think that's about it. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk next time.